I'm Denise Phillips and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making two recipes that are suitable, where you can get readily available at your supermarket. I'm a chef and cookery writer and I have an Instagram of Denise's_kitchen where I post recipes, ideas, videos on a regular basis. But today, as I say, I want to share these two recipes. And I know it's been difficult to find particular ingredients, but the recipes that I'm doing today are very readily available. Having checked out in the last week or so, all of them are easy to get hold of. So the recipes are on the Laurel Leaf Network Facebook group as I've just posted them, and they're also on my website. So I will start and I will share all the ingredients, show you exactly what I'm going to be making. And the first one is celeriac steaks. Now, this vegetable, it's a root vegetable. You might not be familiar with using it. It smells a little bit like celery. It is from the celery and parsnip family, but quite difficult perhaps to get hold of in terms of holding it and peeling it. But what we're going to be doing is making steaks. But it's also a very good vegetable. You can use this in soups, you can make mash with it, you can fry it, you can bake it, you can make chips. And the good news is, this celeriac steak, which I'm going to be making, or the whole root, price is between £1 and £2. So really economical and also goes a long way. So I just want to show you what we're going to be doing. So it's very easy to peel. And if you want to peel it, it's just use it with a peeler like this, of which I have actually done a lot of peeling already. So I'm going to show you a little bit of one I have made earlier. And I have kept this in water with a little bit of lemon juice because it does oxidize. It will go black if you leave it on its own. So in order to get everything ready today, I have left it in a little bit of lemon juice. Okay, so just peeling off a little bit of the trimmings here, of which I've got, and then with a sharp knife, we're going to be making some thick steak. So give it a bit of a bash, and you have wedges like this. So I'm now going to show you what we're going to be doing, putting these in the oven, drizzling a little bit of olive oil, and flavouring it with salt and pepper. So a little bit of olive oil, okay, and paprika. Now, if you're not a great fan of paprika, don't worry. Perhaps if you want to use a few herbs, sumac, cumin, coriander, whatever you enjoy, and more than anything, what you can get hold of. But paprika is easier to get hold of. So I'm just going to put a little paprika on my celeriac, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. Now, this recipe, not only is it gluten-free, it is vegan as well. So I'm actually going to just pop these into the oven. They go into the oven for about 35-40 minutes on 200. For about, say, 35 to 40 minutes for 200. If you're lucky enough to have a steam oven, I suggest you cook it with that as well, with an addition of 60% steam. So in they go in the oven. Now, you can enjoy this particular recipe hot, cold or warm. And you can be really versatile with this. I'm going to be making a mushroom sauce, but there's no reason why you couldn't add perhaps an egg on that. Or if you want to make it like the burger bun, if you are gluten-free, and use 2 halves and put some other ingredients in it. Maybe you want to put some cheese in it, or maybe you want a piece of salmon in it. It is really tasty. So, as I say, a lovely recipe to enjoy, as far as I'm concerned, anytime. So I'm just going to put this to one side. This is how they look afterwards. Nicely golden, and I say I've got some mushrooms, and I'm going to talk you through now the mushroom sauce that goes with this. So we have some onions. Now, I always like to show you how to peel and chop an onion. I've taken off the skin, and this is a whole onion, And there is a right and wrong way, so we're going to cut the onion, I say, with a nice sharp knife, with your hand flat here. I want you not to have an accident, so the onion here is lovely and flat. And I've kept sort of the skin or the tail end of the onion here together. Two things: firstly, it prevents you from crying, and secondly, it keeps the onion intact. So trimmed off the front part of the onion with your hand flat. I am going to make 3 or 4 slices 3/4 of the way through. The onion is still completely intact. Then 3/4 of the way down, slicing the onion downwards. So here the onion is still intact, and then I'm going to roughly chop it. So if you've got your knuckles here onto the next to the knife, you cannot hurt yourself. And I say a blunt knife is a dangerous knife, so do sharpen your knives every single time that you use it. I'm going to do exactly the same with this other onion, slicing it 3 or 4 times. We go through sideways, now long ways, 3/4 of the way through, and pushing your knife forward, we now have beautiful chopped onion. So the onion, this is all part of the sauce that's going to go on top of our celeriac steaks. Right, so I'm going to put the little hob on. Okay, that looks really good. So I'm going to put the hob on, and a little bit of a vegetable oil. Okay, a little oil in there. In go the onions. So pop the onions in, and that's going to start to fry. And now we're going to chop the mushrooms. Now, whatever mushrooms you can get hold of, I think they've been quite easy to get hold of, to be honest. Whether you've got shiitake mushrooms, button mushrooms, and I've got little black, brown cap mushrooms here, of which I've sliced them. And I thought I'd just discuss exactly about washing mushrooms, because people have a sort of not sure what to do, whether you completely immerse them or wipe them. Well, I do actually like these, completely immerse the mushrooms into water and just brush them off and dry them. So I'm going to, I'll say, add these ready chopped, these are the brown cap mushrooms, to the frying pan. So we're going to add those. And these little mushrooms, I'm just going to leave these ones whole. It's quite nice to have a bit of texture, something to say what it is. If everything's all completely chopped up, you're not always sure what's in your dish. So I'm going to leave these particular mushrooms on top to fry. And this is all going to fry rather nicely. So we've got frying onions, we've got 2 types of mushrooms. And what we want to add now is some garlic. Now I'm just going to actually chop some garlic. This is a garlic clove. Most of you probably have a garlic crusher that sort of looks like a gadget that you push forward. Love those gadgets, but when it comes to garlic, I'd rather use it by hand. So if you just use the flat part of your knife, you're going to hear it go crunch. Yeah, nice good crunch here. And top and tail the outside of the garlic, and then you'll find that you get all of the garlic rather than sitting in the garlic crusher. So here we have all of this garlic. We're going to finely chop this garlic, and this is going to go into the frying pan. So finely chop the garlic. Okay, and that goes into the pan. All right, so let this fry off. I can hear it sizzling. We're going to give it a bit of a stir. All right, so now this is the sauce. Mushrooms create a fair amount of liquid, so we do need to let this fry to actually produce, let all the lovely water and juices release. So I can hear it sizzling. I'm going to add some flavouring. We're going to add some salt and pepper. This is actually white peppercorns, these ones. Yeah, so in that goes. Give it a nice flavour. And that's cooking away. Now, again, what's lovely about this dish, you can make it in advance and reheat it. The sauce you can even freeze if you wish to do that too. So what I want to show you is what I'm going to be doing is actually when the mushrooms have cooked a little bit more, which they are beginning to do now, we're going to add some stock. Now, this is vegetable stock, which is a tablespoon of vegetable powder, and then I've added boiling water. Maybe you've got mushroom stock, whatever stock you enjoy using. Now, as I said to you, I've made this gluten-free, and to make it gluten-free and thicken it, I've used potato flour. This is called the farina. It's from Rakuzens. I'm using that today. So, as I say, it's a great recipe, and even if you're not gluten-free and even if you're not vegan, I think you will love this. So with the potato flour, the way to add it is not just straight in because it goes lumpy. What you do is you very gently add a little bit of water. This is called slaking. So we're adding some water and we're just going to stir this. I'm going to add a little bit more water so it's nice and runny. And then add that to the frying pan to thicken. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. There we go. Right, so this will thicken our sauce. So our mushrooms are now beginning to colour a little bit. There we are, a little bit of golden colour here, rather nice. It smells amazing, the garlic, oh, amazing. So, right, so you can see they've shrunk, the water's released from those mushrooms. Now we're going to add a little bit of stock. You can hear it sizzling. And I'm going to add a little bit of the potato flour to thicken it. Now you do need to thicken this by stirring at all times, otherwise it's going to go lumpy, and there's nothing worse than a lumpy sauce. So we're just going to stir this, and as you can see it thickens quite quickly. There we go. So it's all lovely and hot, and that has thickened. Right, so now I'm going to turn the light off. Right, the light has gone off. So we are ready to plate up our first dish. This is celeriac steaks with a mushroom sauce. So let me get all the dishes ingredients ready. I've got a nice plate. Now, as I said when I was cooking the celeriac steaks, I flavoured this with paprika. There are several types. There's smoked paprika, there's hot, and there's also sort of the regular one. This is just the regular one. The smoked one has quite a lovely aromatic taste. You may prefer that, but this is the one I have got. So I'm just going to dust the plate very gently with a little bit of paprika, because it's the flavouring that will just reinforce what we've already got. So I'm going to get the steaks, which I have here. So these are the ones I've made earlier, just in case you've just joined the video. I cooked these with a little bit of salt and pepper, olive oil. I baked them into the oven, and I cooked these for about 35 minutes so they go lovely and golden. So I'm going to put this onto the plate. You could use one or two, depends if it's a starter or main course. I think I'm going to put two actually, because this is going to be my supper tonight and I'm quite hungry. So I'm going to keep the mushrooms to one side for a moment. I'm going to put those in the dish to add it to the topping. These were the butter mushrooms, and I added this to the oven as well, just as an extra addition. So if I just use my hands, otherwise they're going to go for a walk by themselves. Okay, so I'm going to move this to one side. So we've got our mushroom sauce, which I've just made. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of mushroom sauce over the topping of these beautiful celeriac steaks. So that looks all rather yum. I'm going to lift this up so you can see. I've got some whole mushrooms which went into the oven. And I'm going to just finish it off with a little sprig of parsley and a tiny bit of chilli to give it a little bit of a kick. So I'm going to do this. Let's just remove the frying pan. And I'm going to chop the parsley. Okay, just sprigs of fresh parsley, just to sprinkle it on top. And then for those of you who've got the picture from the Facebook of laurel leaf, you'll see this looks just like the picture. And a little bit of red chilli. Just a little note about chilli, they are as hot on the outside as the inside. So I will say it twice, please wash your hands, and please wash your hands afterwards. You will remember this when you perhaps touch your eye or another part of your anatomy, you will remember. So I'm just finely chopping a little bit of chilli to sprinkle on top. And here we have our gluten-free, vegan, celeriac steaks with a mushroom sauce. Very nice, very tasty, and very delicious. So that is recipe 1. I am now going to be moving on to the berry tart. So I'm just going to move a few of the ingredients away to start the next recipe. Okay, so that's the next recipe. Move that to one side. Okay, I'm going to turn my chopping board over. So, next recipe. Oh, just love this one. And it's so quick and easy. You will love me afterwards when I've shown you how quick and easy it is. So we are going to be making, as I say, this is again, it's gluten-free by chance. I'm not gluten-free and I'm not vegan either. But this can be, tick all those boxes. It is a pastry, but it's a pastry made with figs and walnuts. So let me show you how you make this. So let's get all the ingredients out. Okay, you need a baking tin that you can do this to. A loose base tin. This is 19 centimeters diameter. If you cannot do this with your tin, it's time for a new one. So let me just talk you through the ingredients, and it's all quite simple. These are dried figs. What I've done is taken off, like it's the end, it's the core edge, which we don't want. So with some scissors, you just want to trim that off. So I've taken that off, and I've taken the others off. But as I say, I'm talking about supermarket store cupboard ingredients. If you cannot get figs, you can use dates, you can use apricots, you can use dried prunes, whatever you want. It's the dried fruit that has not only the natural sweetness, but it's got moisture that will bind with the walnuts. Now again, if you can't get walnuts, pecan nuts will do, almonds will do. It's the combination of nuts and dried fruits that will make the pastry. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing, is just very much popping it in the Magimix. If you haven't got a Magimix, a hand whiz will do. Chopping by hand will work, but it will take a little extra time. So let me just get the ingredients ready, of which we have. Okay, so let's get my Magimix. So, right, so the Magimix, what you need to use is the metal blade. They do have a plastic blade, but it's the metal blade that you want, so in that goes. So these are the walnuts that I'm happy to use. You don't have to roughly chop, but the Magimix will do that for you, so in that goes. And this particular recipe serves maybe 6 people. I actually made the recipe slightly smaller than it was because there's only probably, if you're lucky, 2 to 4 people in your household at the moment. So I'm sure smaller quantities are better. Walnuts, in they go. Okay, and then I need a little bit of water. Okay, so just to whisk this together. Push this down to whisk together, and I need just add some water. So I'm just going to get some water. Okay, just a tiny bit of water to bind this together. So if you can see the mixture, it's all lovely and chopped, and that's really all there is to it. So as I say, a tiny bit of water, so it should maybe a tablespoon. That's all you need to bind it to make your crust. So put your hand in and see if it binds together. If it doesn't bind together, add a little bit more water, and I think we're okay on that. So as I said to you, all nice and easy. Denise shows anything's easy when you know how. Take the blade out. I don't want you to cut yourselves. So the blade goes out. And then all you're going to do is very gently pour this mixture into your little tartlet tin. Please note there's no baking parchment on the base at all. You don't need that. It's not going to stick. So what I'm going to do is gently push the crumbs, pushing it down to make a pastry base. So really put your thumbs right to the edges, get your thumbs in to right to the sides, so you've got a lovely coating that you're going to make. Now you need to preheat your oven to 200 degrees, and we're going to cook this for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I do suggest you put the timer on. If this burns, nuts they burn, they will go bitter. So just give this and use the end of a knife or a wooden spoon to really push it to the sides, right to the very edges, so it's evenly on one level. Now you can put anything you like really in this if you wanted to. I can show you the one I've made earlier. It comes out like this. You could put ice cream in it, but we're going to put yogurt. You could put custard in it if you wanted to, whipped cream if you wanted to. But as I say, I'm going to show you what I'm making. So just a few more sprinkles of this. And if you just joined, just to recap, this is a vegan pie crust made with figs and walnuts. And now that's ready for the oven. And I promise you, it does come out really easily. Don't worry about it sticking. It does come out really easily. So just to push those to the edges, and that goes into the oven just like that. So I'm just going to move that to one side. Put that over there, as you can see. Move that over here. All right. So here is the one I made earlier. It went into my oven, 200 degrees centigrade, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 15 minutes, and it's gone nice and golden. And literally to pick this up, it is quite solid and it does work. So the filling, right, I have got natural yogurt, and for those that people know me really well, I've got my good old favourite, I've got some cinnamon, so I'll add a little bit of cinnamon to that. And the other ingredient, and I will share this with you, is it's a nut butter, but this one isn't almond butter, it's actually Natura. It's actually the make, you can get it in all the supermarkets. It is vegan, it's gluten free, you can have this all year round. Rather lovely. It comes in lots of different flavours. They've got date, they've got pecan, they've got chocolate. Yummy. And also really good for you, as it's all completely natural, and it's a great protein as well. So I've got the almond one because that's my kind of favourite one. So I've got that, and I've got yogurt, and I'm not adding any sugar. So I'm going to just add the almond butter to the yogurt. So I'm just going to push this to one side. So this is my yogurt, and I've got about 200 grams here of natural yogurt, But you can use whatever flavour yoghurt you want. Maybe you like coconut yoghurt. Maybe you like the almond yogurts. There's loads. Or if you really wanted to, why not, if you want to make it vegan, why don't you use the non-dairy? There are loads of different brands out there, but this one is dairy, and this is a natural yoghurt. I'm going to add my nut butter to mix the two together. So mixing those, which is rather good. Yummy. If you do plan to freeze this, what I would recommend is that you freeze the pastry case ready cooked as it is and add the filling and do that fresh. But as I say, it's a really quick dessert. I think rather impressive as well. You see, wait, in 5 minutes, how gorgeous it looks within 5 minutes. So I'm mixing the nut butter and the yogurt together. Give it a really nice stir. Then, as I mentioned, a little bit of cinnamon. You don't have to add this. Maybe you like vanilla. Maybe you want to put a bit of alcohol on it. I don't mind, whatever you like. I quite like cinnamon, so in that goes just a little bit of cinnamon. Okay, and give that a stir. There we go. Now we're going to pour this into our pastry case. Push it to the sides. There we go, right to the very sides. Yeah. Okay, right to the very edges. Look how quick and easy that is. I'll say if you wanted to, you could add ice cream, you could add custard, whipped cream, double cream, a little bit of sour cream, whatever you wanted. But as I say, I've made this with yogurt. I'm going to scrape that off to the sides. All right, so okay, so now we have the filling. So I'm just going to move this together, move this out the way. Right, our filling. Okay, really nice. So I've got lots of berries. That's what it's called, berry and almond pie. So I'm just going to add, we've got blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, whatever fruit you like. You can even do it with apples if you wanted, or just some grapes. But these are just a lovely, lovely selection of berries. It's beautiful, it's colourful, and more the point, it ticks the box. It's really healthy in terms of ingredients. So I'm going to add the berries. So a few berries, just to sprinkle these on top, and you're thinking, gosh, this is so easy. You're absolutely right, this is so easy. I have already washed all the fruits, so I do recommend you wash all your fruits and then just drain them off so no drips of water trail into your cake. Okay, so lots of those. Drizzle those on top. The strawberries are actually quite big, so I might actually cut these in half. Look at the size of these, wow, yum. I do love strawberries. So I'm just going to sprinkle some strawberries on here. Now you could put more nuts if you wish to, sprinkle some almonds, toasted nuts, or hazelnuts if you wanted to, but I'd kind of like to keep it sort of the same ingredients rather than too many different varieties. We used walnuts to make the base, and maybe if you wanted to put some toasted walnuts on top would keep it together. So keeping the flavours of the same, I think, is better. So I'm just very rustically added the berries, so you can't see any of the yogurt. So that's what I'm trying to do, is fill the gaps here with the yogurt. A few more strawberries, a few more blackberries, and we are okay. Essentially, we are done with that. I want to put a few more blackberries. They just do give a nice finish, filling the gaps. Okay, I think we're almost there with that. Looks rather nice. Okay, so here we have our berry tart. And then I like to just garnish it with a little bit of fresh mint. Just kind of adds a little bit of colour. So I'm just going to trim a tiny bit of fresh mint. You could add a dusting of icing sugar if you wish, but quite frankly, I think keep it less sugar. I think the family will thank you for what you have created. So just a recap of this particular recipe, this is the berry fruit tart. This is made with chopped up walnuts and figs that I popped into the Maggi mix, and I added a tiny bit of water and it made a pastry base that looked like this. That went into the oven, 200 degrees centigrade, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, about 10 to 15 minutes till it went lovely and golden. And then I added yogurt with a nut butter and a tiny bit of cinnamon and filled it with berries. So these two recipes that I have made today, we've got celeriac steaks with a mushroom sauce. What I will say is that Laurel Leaf Network is a great place to go for any of your business needs, whatever you need in terms of all different business groups. It is the place to go. I hope you've enjoyed today's cookery class. What we're going to be making next Sunday, and that's Sunday the 19th of April at 5:30. We're going to make a pea tabbouleh and tahini salmon. Both recipes will be posted up on the Laurel Leaf Network group, and they're also on my website, www.deniseskitchen.com. And if you've got any questions or you'd like to email me or message me, I'm sure I can help you. So this is this week's cookery classes. Thank you very much. Best dishes, Denise.